The night sky over Earth was never silent anymore. For weeks, people had seen strange lights drifting high above the clouds, too steady to be shooting stars, too slow to be satellites. At first, no one agreed on what they were. Some said they were secret military drones. Others whispered they were alien ships. Most people laughed at the idea, until tonight. It began in New York, but it was the same in London, Beijing, Karachi, Sao Paulo, and dozens of other cities. The lights came again, but this time, they stopped. Not like a plane slowing down. Not like a falling object. They froze in place, high above the tallest buildings. Then, in perfect unison, they began to move. Not down, not up, but sideways. Across the world, hundreds of glowing orbs shifted into the same formation, a giant circle. 7 UTC, Earth's first contact, was about to begin. Crowds gathered in the streets, pointing phones at the sky. Children clung to their parents. Police tried to push people back, but no one wanted to leave. Everyone wanted to see history. From the ground, the lights looked harmless. From space, satellites recorded something else entirely. They weren't lights. They were ships. Each one was the size of a football stadium, made of black metal that swallowed starlight. The glow came from thin blue lines running along their surface, pulsing like veins. They were not here to talk. In the White House, Situation Room, President Elena Rodriguez leaned over a table covered in satellite images. Her generals spoke in low, urgent voices. "We're counting 212 ships in low orbit," General Havers said. "They're not responding to hails." "Any sign of weapons?" the president asked. "Not yet, ma'am," another officer said, "but they're moving into attack positions." Across the ocean, in a bunker deep under London, Prime Minister Caldwell was hearing the same reports. In Moscow, Beijing, and dozens of capitals, world leaders were on encrypted calls, all asking the same question: who are they? And what do they want? The answer came at 23:15. It started with a sharp, piercing sound, like metal grinding against glass, that every human on Earth heard at the same time. The noise didn't come from radios, TVs, or speakers. It came from inside their heads, and then a voice, deep, cold, inhuman. It spoke in every language at once, the words burning into people's minds. "You belong to us now. Surrender and live, resist and be erased." The crowds fell silent. Mothers clutched children tighter. Old men crossed themselves. Some people screamed. The voice returned. "You are strong enough to serve. Your bodies will labor. Your minds will obey. This world is ours." Above Times Square, one of the ships lowered itself through the clouds. It blotted out the moon. The underside opened like the petals of a black flower, revealing a huge circular lens. It began to glow. Soldiers on rooftops aimed rifles. Someone yelled, "Fire!" Bullets sparked harmlessly off an invisible barrier. Around the ship, the glow in the lens turned white-hot. People expected fire. They expected the city to vanish in a single blast. But the light wasn't heat. It was something stranger. It poured over the streets like a fog made of glass. Wherever it touched, people froze. Not like fear freeze. They stopped moving, entirely. Eyes wide open, breathing halted, bodies stiff. Children froze mid-step. Dogs froze mid-bark. Cars skidded into walls, drivers locked in place. In less than 10 seconds, Times Square was a graveyard of statues. Except they weren't dead. Their eyes still moved, darting back and forth in terror. On the USS Dakota, an American destroyer off the coast, Commander Ray Vega watched the event on a live feed. He slammed a fist on the table. "That's not a weapon," he said. "That's a net." "Sir? They're freezing people alive, and they're going to take them." Across the planet, the same thing happened. Paris, Tokyo, Sydney, Lagos. One by one, cities went silent, their people locked in place by the alien neural lock beams. Within an hour, over 600 million humans were frozen. In a hidden underground facility somewhere in Nevada, a man named Aaron Cole watched the news footage with grim eyes. Around him, a dozen others, soldiers, scientists, engineers, were gathered around a glowing map of Earth. Every city hit by the beams was marked in red. A young scientist spoke. "Why aren't we frozen like the others?" Aaron didn't. "Look away from the map." "Because we knew this was coming, and we prepared." The group was part of Project Sentinel, a classified global defense program formed 15 years ago. They had built technology to block mind control, and they were the only humans on Earth still free. Aaron turned to the others. "We don't have much time. They'll come for the rest of us. And when they do, we hit back." High above Earth, in the largest alien ship, the Harvester Prime, the commander of the invasion, Zir Veltor, watched the planet through a transparent wall. His second-in-command approached. "Sector 12 reports resistance," the alien officer said. "Some humans are unaffected by the neural lock." Zir's voice was low, amused. "Good. I enjoy a hunt." The alien turned back to the view of Earth. Clouds swirled beneath him. Lightning flashed in the dark. "Send the hunters," he ordered. "I want them alive." In Nevada, alarms blared through the base. A radar operator shouted, "Multiple! Ships breaking from formation, heading straight for us." Aaron grabbed his rifle and helmet. "Everyone, suit up! This is it!" The ground began to shake. Above, in the night sky, a huge shadow passed over the desert. The alien dropships were here. The desert was quiet, too quiet for the team in the underground base. Even the crickets had stopped chirping. Above, the alien dropships circled like vultures. Their shadows cut across the sand under the pale moonlight. Inside the base, the air was tense. Every person there knew. If the aliens found the entrance, there would be no second chance. Commander Aaron Cole stood at the center of the control room, eyes locked on the main monitor. Live satellite feeds showed Earth's great cities, but they were no longer alive. New York, London, Tokyo, every street frozen in time, men, women, and children locked in place as if trapped in invisible ice. Paris, France, 02:15. Local time A. Cold fog clung to the Eiffel Tower. Beneath it, thousands of Parisians stood like mannequins, their faces twisted in fear. A couple froze mid-run, a man clutching his wife's hand, unable to finish the step. Pigeons hung motionless in the air, wings locked mid-flap. It was like the city had been paused by some invisible hand. Beijing, China, 09:22 local time. The morning rush hour had stopped completely. Cars were locked in traffic jams with drivers staring straight ahead. Food vendors stood beside smoking stoves, their eyes wide open but unblinking. In the skies above, a massive alien ship floated like a silent mountain, its underbelly glowing, faintly. In the Nevada base, one of the operators turned away from the screens, face pale. "Sir, it's spreading faster now. They've hit over 60 major cities in the last hour." Aaron clenched his jaw. "They're trying to break us before they even take us." Suddenly, the radar operator spoke again, voice tight. "Multiple heat signatures. They're landing near our perimeter." The room went dead silent. On the desert surface, the first alien dropship touched down with a hiss of steam. Its hull was black, covered in glowing blue lines. The ramp lowered, and something stepped out. It was tall, over 8 feet. Its armor was a dark metallic shell, its limbs too long for a human. Its head was narrow, with 2 cold, glowing eyes that scanned the desert like a predator searching for prey. More figures followed, carrying strange weapons shaped like hooked spears. Their movements were slow, deliberate, like hunters who already knew the prey couldn't escape. Inside the base, an engineer whispered, "If they find us—" Aaron cut him off sharply. "They won't. Not if we move first." He tapped a control panel, bringing up a 3D map of the desert above them. A blinking red dot marked the alien landing zone. "They're here for us. That means we're important enough to scare them. So we hit back now before they lock down the base." The team moved fast. Weapons racks opened. Rifles, armor, and strange metallic devices were handed out. These weren't normal guns. They were built using tech salvaged from something no one had ever admitted existed. Up above, the alien leader of the hunting squad paused, tilting its head slightly. Its glowing eyes narrowed. The sand shifted slightly, and then a deep rumble echoed under their feet. Before the aliens could react, a hidden hatch in the desert floor snapped open, and humans came out firing. Blue light and red sparks exploded in the night. The alien hunters moved with inhuman speed, blocking shots with their weapons and returning fire with bursts of blinding energy. One alien leapt forward, closing the distance to a soldier in a heartbeat. Its spear pierced the air. But the soldier's armor deflected the blow. The fight was brutal and fast. For every alien that fell, another replaced it. Inside the base, the control room was chaos. Operators shouted updates over the sound of distant gunfire. "They're pushing us back. We've lost Bravo team. We can't hold them much longer." Aaron's voice cut through the noise. "Seal the lower tunnels. Get everyone into fallback positions. Now." The team retreated into the deeper sections of the base, sealing blast doors behind them. For a moment, it seemed like they might have escaped. Then the lights flickered. A strange humming filled the air, low and deep, vibrating through the walls. Everyone froze, listening. One of the scientists went pale. That's the same frequency as the neural lock. They're trying to hit us through the walls." Aaron looked around. "How long until it breaks through our shielding?" "Minutes, maybe less." He turned to the weapons officer. "Then we move before it does." The humans began preparing something huge, a weapon that looked like a cannon mixed with a satellite dish. It hummed with blue light, the same blue as the alien ships. "This is the pulse emitter," the engineer explained. "If it works, it'll short out their neural lock field. But it's never been tested." Aaron gave a cold smile. "Well, tonight's the night." Above ground, the alien leader signaled to its troops. They began advancing on the hidden base entrance again, slowly but surely. In orbit, the alien mothership hovered directly over. Nevada now, a giant shadow against the stars. Inside its command bridge, Zir Veltor watched a holographic map of Earth. The red zones, frozen cities, spread wider every minute. One of his officers spoke. "We have almost secured the planet, Commander." Zir's voice was cold. "Almost is not enough." Back in the base, the pulse emitter was ready. Aaron stood by the trigger. "On my mark, 3, 2..." A loud crash shook the walls. The outer blast doors had been breached. The alien hunters were inside. Aaron slammed his hand down on the trigger. The cannon roared. A shockwave of invisible energy blasted outward, shaking the desert for miles. In the distance, alien ships flickered, their blue lights dimming. The alien hunters froze in place, just for a moment. But in that moment, the humans opened fire. It wasn't a victory. Not yet. But for the first time since the invasion began, humanity had fought back and won a little ground. The underground base was silent except for the low hum of backup generators. The pulse emitter's blast had worked. For now, the alien hunters outside were gone, pulled back to regroup. But everyone knew they would return. Commander Aaron Cole stood in the dim control room, staring at the holographic map. The red zones, frozen cities, now covered most of the world. Only a handful of green areas remained. Remote deserts, deep forests, hidden mountain valleys. and even those were shrinking fast. Dr. Evelyn Hart, the team's lead scientist, stepped forward. "We can't hold out here. They'll hit us again harder next time." Aaron didn't look away from the map. "I know. That's why we're not going to wait." He tapped a section of the map, a moving cluster of red icons. "This is one of their transport convoys. Those ships are carrying the people they've taken. If we can get on board, we might learn where they're taking them." The room went quiet. No one wanted to ask the obvious question. Finally, Sergeant Marcus Hale said it out loud. "And what if they're not taking them anywhere? What if they're already gone?" Aaron turned to face him, his eyes hard. "Then we find out. We owe them that much." Operation Ghost Spear was born. The plan was simple, on paper. Steal one of the alien dropships, use it to infiltrate a larger transport vessel, and see where it led. In reality, it was almost suicide. That night, under a moonless sky, the team moved through the desert. The stolen alien weapons glowed faintly, in their hands, casting eerie shadows across the sand. They reached the ridge overlooking the alien convoy. Below them, 3 massive dropships floated silently a few meters above the ground. Between them, rows of strange black cubes pulsed with faint blue light. Each cube was big enough to hold several people. The humans could hear faint thuds and muffled cries coming from inside. "Prison pods," Evelyn whispered. Aaron's jaw tightened. "Let's move." The first part of the mission went fast. The humans disabled a guard patrol, then boarded one of the dropships. Inside, the controls were strange, smooth black panels that responded to touch but had no buttons or levers. Thankfully, one of their engineers had studied salvaged alien tech for years. "I think I can fly it," he muttered, his fingers moving over the glowing symbols. The ship hummed to life. They lifted off slowly, falling into formation with the other dropships. From the outside, they looked like just another part of the convoy. No alarms, no suspicion, not yet. The convoy reached a massive alien transport vessel in low orbit. Its size was staggering, easily the length of 5 aircraft carriers. Its surface was covered in moving panels that shifted like the plates of some giant metal beast. The dropships entered through a huge hangar, bathed in blue light. As the humans stepped out, they were hit by a wave of sound, a deep, steady thrum that seemed to vibrate in their bones. The air smelled strange, like hot metal and something rotten. They moved carefully, blending in with the alien guards as much as possible. Their stolen armor hid their human features. Mostly the first thing they saw in the transport bay made several of them stop in shock. Rows of prison pods stretched as far as they could see. Thousands of them. Each pod held human captives, their eyes darting in panic behind the glass. But there was something else. In the far corner of the bay, separate from the human prisoners, were other pods. These holding creatures unlike anything they had seen before. Some were tall and insect-like, others covered in scales. Some looked almost human. Until you saw the eyes. They were from other worlds. One of the insect-like prisoners saw the humans and slammed its claws against the glass, its mouth opening in a silent scream. Evelyn stepped closer, her voice low. These are slaves." "From other planets." Aaron's voice was grim. "Then this isn't just about Earth. This is an empire." As they moved deeper into the transport, they noticed something else. A section of the ship sealed off by heavy blast doors, guarded by 2 alien soldiers. No prisoners were kept there. No sound came from inside. Sergeant Hale frowned. "What? Do you think's in there?" Aaron studied the doors for a moment. "Something they don't want anyone to see." They waited until the guards left on a patrol rotation, then hacked the door controls. The heavy doors slid open with a slow hiss, revealing darkness inside. The smell hit them first, sharp, metallic, and somehow alive. Then came the sound. Faint, rhythmic clicking. They moved inside, their helmet lights sweeping the room. Dozens of tall, black containers lined the walls. Each one was marked with strange alien symbols and pulsed faintly with light. Aaron stepped closer to one and wiped the dust from its surface. A small, round window revealed movement inside. Something slammed against the glass. It was fast, too fast to see clearly. But its shape was wrong. Long, curved claws, teeth like knives, eyes that glowed with a feral light. Evelyn stepped back, her face pale. That's not a prisoner. That's a weapon. Before they could react, the container began to shake violently. The alien symbols on its surface glowed brighter, and the locking clamps started to disengage. The creature hit the alien guards before they could even raise their weapons. Its movement was a blur, claws flashing, teeth sinking deep into armored flesh. The guards screamed in a strange metallic tone that echoed through the chamber. Blood, dark and thick, sprayed across the walls. Aaron and his team froze for a second, shocked by the speed and violence. The thing didn't hesitate. It tore through the second guard, ripping apart armor like paper. Then it stopped. The humans expected it to attack them next. Instead, it turned its head slowly, sniffing the air, its glowing eyes fixed on the open doorway. More alien soldiers were coming, their boots clanging against the metal floor. The creature gave a low, rattling growl and crouched like a predator ready to strike. Aaron's voice was a sharp whisper. "Don't move! Let it focus on them!" The first wave of alien reinforcements entered, 5 soldiers in black armor. They didn't even get to fire a shot. The creature launched itself from the shadows, slamming into them with bone-cracking force. The corridor filled with screams, gunfire, and the sound of tearing metal. Dr. Evelyn Hart stared, her voice trembling. "It's not here for us. It hates them." When the last alien fell, the creature stood over the bodies, chest heaving, claws dripping with blood. It looked at the humans again, but still didn't attack. Aaron took a slow step forward. "You're not our enemy, are you?" The creature tilted its head, almost as if it understood. A deep alarm began to blare through the ship. Loud, urgent, and alien. The lighting shifted to red. They'd been discovered. From the far side of the chamber, a loud banging came from inside the other black containers. One after another, something inside slammed against the walls, harder and harder. Evelyn's eyes widened. "There's more of them in here." Aaron didn't have time to think. If these things hated the aliens, they could be an advantage, or a disaster. He made the call. "Open 2 more. Just 2. We can't control more than that." The engineer hesitated only a moment before unlocking the nearest container. The hiss of freezing mist filled the air again as the seals broke. From inside came another creature, slightly smaller but just as deadly, followed by a third. They moved to stand beside the first one, their eyes scanning the humans briefly, before turning toward the sound of alien reinforcements in the corridor. The next few minutes were chaos. The creatures charged into the hallway, tearing through soldiers like a living storm. Energy blasts lit up the corridor, but nothing slowed them down. The humans stayed back, using the distraction to move deeper into the transport ship. They reached the prison pods. Rows of human captives stared at them with desperate, pleading eyes. Some banged weakly on the glass, mouths forming silent words. Evelyn checked the control panel. "I can open them, but it will trigger another alarm." Aaron nodded. "Do it! We didn't come here to leave them behind." The pods hissed. "Open!" And the freed prisoners stumbled out, confused and terrified. Among them was a tall, thin alien with gray skin and long arms. It looked at Aaron with wide, intelligent eyes. "You are not like them," it said in broken English. Aaron blinked. "You speak our language?" The alien nodded slowly. "Many worlds were taken. My people fought. We failed. But you are different. Evelyn stepped closer. Different how? The alien's expression was unreadable. They fear you, more than they have feared anyone before. A deep crash shook the walls. The creatures were still fighting somewhere deeper in the ship, but the sound of alien weapons was getting closer. Aaron turned to the freed prisoners. If you can walk, you come with us. If you can fight, even better. The gray aliens' eyes glinted. I can fight. It reached down and took a weapon from a dead guard, holding it with practiced ease. The group began moving toward the hangar bay. But when they reached a junction, they saw the creatures again. One was wounded, black blood dripping from its side. But even hurt, it had left a trail of alien bodies behind it. It looked at Aaron, growled low, and then, to everyone's shock, moved to stand between the humans and the oncoming soldiers. Evelyn whispered, "It's protecting us." Aaron didn't waste time. Then let's get out before the big one changes its mind. They fought their way to the hangar, the freed prisoners covering the rear. Alien shouts echoed behind them, growing louder. As they reached their stolen dropship, the creatures suddenly broke away and charged back into the corridors, roaring. The gray alien glanced at Aaron. They will not follow you, not while the hunters are busy. Aaron gave a short nod. Let's hope they keep them busy long enough. The dropship lifted off, flying out of the hangar into the cold black of space. Below them, the transport ship glowed with muzzle flashes and explosions as the creatures continued their rampage. The alien warships moved like shadows across the sky, their black metal hulls swallowing the sunlight. The people of Earth could only watch from below, fear tightening their chests. But far away, in the hidden command bunkers of the Resistance, fear was not the only emotion in the air. Captain Reza stood over a glowing tactical table, his sharp eyes scanning the movements of the enemy fleet. Every red dot on the holographic map was an alien vessel. Every green one was human, and the green ones were fewer, much fewer. They think we're weak, Reza said quietly, almost to himself. They think we'll break like every other world. They've conquered. A young lieutenant shifted nervously. Sir, with respect, they have the advantage. Our ships can't match their firepower. Reza cut him off with a calm smile. Firepower isn't everything. Outside, in the dark, cold of space, the first human strike group emerged from behind the shadow of the moon. They didn't come in a straight line. They darted and twisted, their engines flaring in irregular bursts, like prey trying to confuse a predator. The alien commander, a tall insectoid creature named Gerlach, watched the human movement with curiosity. His multiple eyes narrowed. Pathetic. They flee even before we strike. But then, something strange happened. The humans didn't keep running. They turned. All at once, as if by silent agreement, the tiny human ships dove straight at the alien front line. It was madness. Pure. Suicide by any standard battle logic. Fire! Gerlach ordered, confident this fight would end quickly. Blinding beams of alien energy lit up the void. But the human ships didn't slow. They twisted again, using the alien blasts as cover. Some of them even seemed to vanish from the enemies, targeting systems entirely. Where did they go? One of Gerlach's officers asked in shock. In the next instant, the answer came. From the dark side of an asteroid field, hidden heavy cruisers powered up their cannons. Their first volley slammed into the alien flank, tearing through shields that had never been breached before. It wasn't a full victory. Far from it. But it was the first time the aliens had felt pain in this war. Gerlach's mandibles clicked in anger. So, they are not prey. They are something else. Back on Earth, Reza received the report and allowed himself a small nod. This was just the beginning. The aliens had stepped into a fight they didn't understand, and the humans were only getting started. The alien fleet regrouped quickly. They had taken damage, yes, but they still outnumbered the humans, and their technology was far more advanced. To them, the earlier skirmish was nothing more than a small scratch. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Gerlach's voice was cold. "Enough playing with them. We strike their cities next. Let them watch their world burn." His officers clicked their mandibles in agreement. But far below, deep in the mountains of Central Asia, Captain Reza stood in a command bunker, watching the alien movement with a calm expression. The alien ships were doing exactly what he had hoped. "They're coming closer," whispered one of his aides. "Good," Reza replied. "Let them." In space, the alien fleet adjusted course, descending toward Earth's orbit. They believed the humans were retreating, broken and scattered. They didn't know the humans had been guiding them, herding them into a specific path for days. From the outside, the route looked random. But every asteroid, every abandoned satellite, every derelict space station along the way had been carefully positioned for one purpose: the trap. As the aliens closed in, strange signals began bouncing between their ships. At first, they thought it was human jamming. Then, their targeting systems began to fail. Navigation grew sluggish. "What is happening?" Gerlach demanded. On the far side of the Earth, a massive human-built satellite, the size of a small moon, unfolded like a steel flower. Hidden for decades under layers of space debris, it now came alive, releasing thousands of tiny metallic spheres into the void. To the alien sensors, these spheres appeared as full-sized warships. They couldn't tell which targets were real, multiple. "Hostiles approaching from all sides!" shouted an alien officer. Gerlach's voice cracked with frustration. "It's an illusion! Ignore—" Before he could finish, the real human ships emerged from behind the false signals, firing concentrated bursts at the aliens' shield generators. Entire sections of the alien fleet flickered in confusion. Inside his command bunker, Reza spoke softly into his comms. "Now we hit them where they think they're safe." On cue, hidden missile silos on Earth's surface fired into space, not at the alien warships, but at their supply vessels waiting in the upper atmosphere. Explosions lit the sky. The aliens had walked straight into a war they didn't understand. For the first time, Gerlach felt something unfamiliar, something he hadn't felt in centuries. Fear. The battle in orbit slowed. Alien ships drifted, crippled and smoking. A few still fought back, but their formations were broken, their confidence shattered. In the alien flagship, Commander Gerlach gripped the railing. How are they doing this?" Then a new voice came over the alien comm channels. It wasn't speaking in clicks or hisses. It spoke in clear, perfect galactic standard, a language humanity had never been taught. "This is Captain Reza of Earth's Defense Command," the voice said, calmly. "You came here thinking we were prey. You came to demand surrender. Now listen carefully, because I will only say this once." The alien bridge fell silent. No human should have been able to use their private military channels. No human should have even known they existed. You sent your fleets. You burned our skies. You killed our people. Reza's voice was steady, almost quiet. "We let you. We wanted to see what you had, and now we've seen enough." On every alien ship, screens flickered. At first, the images were static, then they cleared, showing faces, human faces, soldiers, scientists, engineers, children, all of them looking directly at the camera. None were afraid. One soldier, a woman in black combat armor, stepped forward. "You think this is our fleet? This is nothing. What you see here is only the doorway." Behind her, enormous shadows moved. Shapes too large to be ships, too strange to be machines. Reza's voice returned. "You've studied the stars for thousands of years, but you've never looked in the dark places. We live there now. We've been waiting. The alien comms crackled with panicked voices as their captains demanded explanations. Some tried to retreat. Others fired blindly into the darkness of space. Then the human message ended with 6 words that froze Gerlach's blood. "This war ends when we decide." The screens went black. For the first time in recorded galactic history, an invading fleet stopped fighting, not because they were defeated, but because they no longer wanted to know what was coming next. The alien fleet turned away from Earth, not in a controlled withdrawal, not in a strategic regroup. They ran. On the alien flagship, Commander Gerlach barked desperate orders. "Jump to hyperspace! Get us away from this system!" But as their engines warmed, the navigation officer froze. "Commander! They're following us!" Gerlach spun around. "Impossible! Their ships can't match our hyperdrives!" The officer's voice trembled. "They're not using hyperdrives, and yet they're still gaining on us." In the darkness behind the retreating fleet, faint points of light began to appear, cold, sharp, and growing larger. They weren't stars. They were ships, human ships. But they didn't look like the ones from Earth's orbit. These were darker, sleeker. They moved without exhaust trails, as if they were sliding through reality itself. The alien crews felt something they couldn't explain, like being watched by predators. On one alien frigate, a junior officer whispered, "Sir, their ships are scanning us, but I can't detect the scan. It's like they're inside our systems." One by one, alien vessels began to lose power. Weapons shut down, shields failed, navigation data became corrupted. And then, from the shadows, human voices whispered through the alien comms. Not shouting, not threatening, just whispering. "Run faster!" Panic erupted. Some captains tried to break formation. Others jettisoned their weapon cores to lighten their ships. None of it worked. Then, without warning, the human ships vanished. No flash, no jump signature. Just gone. Silence fell over the alien fleet. For a brief, fragile moment, they thought. They were safe, until Gerlach's second officer pointed to the view screen. "Commander, look." Out ahead, where their hyperspace exit point should have been, human ships were waiting. They had somehow arrived before the aliens, the lead. Human vessel broadcast a single sentence across every alien frequency. "You crossed the wrong species." And with that, the hunters of the galaxy realized they were now the prey. The alien fleet hung in space, frozen between terror and disbelief. They had fled across light years, only to find human ships already waiting. On the bridge of the flagship, Commander Gerlach's voice cracked. How did they get here before us?" No one answered. The crew stared at their screens, watching as the black-hulled human vessels closed in, forming a perfect sphere around the alien formation. "Raise shields!" Gerlach ordered. "Shields are unresponsive, Commander." "Then charge weapons. Weapons control is—" The officer swallowed hard. "Offline." The realization struck like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just caught them. They had already taken control. Then the human ships opened fire, but not with visible beams or missiles. Instead, alien ships began to implode, collapsing in on themselves as if crushed by invisible hands. Hulls buckled, decks folded, and entire vessels were reduced to silent, drifting wrecks. No sound, no warning, just destruction. Panic consumed the alien fleet. Some ships tried to ram their way out, but they slammed into invisible barriers, energy walls the humans had placed like cages. On the alien flagship, Gerlach's comms officer shouted, "Message from the human commander!" The view screen flickered to life. A human in a black uniform appeared. No insignia, no smile, just cold eyes. "You came to enslave our world. Now, you'll serve as the message," the alien commander snarled. "The Galactic Council will hear of this." The human leaned forward. "That's the point. And then Every surviving alien ship's transponder was activated and set to full broadcast. The humans released them, but not before attaching something to each vessel, a beacon. The alien crews didn't know it yet, but when they arrived back in Council space, those beacons would broadcast everything: the audio, the visuals, the screams of what humanity had done. It wasn't just a defeat. It was a warning. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest hall in the known universe. Its ceilings so high they vanished into mist, its walls lined with banners of hundreds of civilizations. On this day, the room was silent. Delegates from a dozen star systems sat frozen, staring at the massive central screen. The transmission from the alien fleet played again and again. It showed the human trap. It showed the silent destruction. It showed the cold-eyed human commander delivering those final words: "You came to enslave our world. Now you'll serve as the message." The screams, the collapsing ships, the endless void swallowing proud warships whole. And then, the final shot, thousands of alien vessels limping home with human beacons glowing like scarlet brands. When the feed ended, the silence deepened. No one wanted to speak first. Finally, a tall insectoid delegate whispered, They knew we would see this." "They wanted us to," another replied. It was a demonstration. The Chancellor of the Council, an ancient being older than most empires, leaned forward. His voice trembled. "If humanity can do this to a fleet, what could they do to a planet?" No one answered. No one dared. Far across the galaxy, human fleets were on the move, no longer hiding, no longer silent. For centuries, the Council had believed Earth was a small, primitive world. They were wrong. The Council chambers remained still for a long time before the Chancellor finally spoke. "We will not interfere with humanity again." And with that, the meeting ended. No vote, no arguments, just fear. In the darkness between stars, humanity watched. They had not just won a battle, they had rewritten the balance of power in the galaxy, and the stars themselves seemed quieter,